Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got another real interesting combo to try out that I'm thinking, or at least hoping, should work out in our favor and potentially tune in these shells a little bit more than what we had previously been seeing them at anyway. I do think there's a real chance that we get a nice pattern from this combo, but these shells have been a little touchy so far. Not bad, but nothing special either, so we'll see if this combo actually helps improve our pattern performance just that little bit more like we're looking for. But first up, for the shells I brought today, big thank you to Keith and the guys over at Salt Creek for sending me some of these. They kind of surprised me with them, but they're definitely a pretty interesting loading that I was already looking at anyway to try out. They are some of the Salt Creek cold turkey blend shells. These ones are their 12 gauge, 3-inch, 2-ounce payload of TSS 10s with lead 5s. Usually you see a 5 and 9 blend, not a 5 and 10 blend. But blend shells in general can be very finicky, and TSS 10s can also be a little bit picky. We've tested these shells a few times now through several different 665 constriction chokes and seen some decent patterns from them, some perfectly usable patterns, but we haven't quite found the combo to actually really condense them down into a nice circular even turkey spread like I kind of want to see. I know they're capable of doing it, we just haven't quite fine-tuned it enough yet. So maybe that might be today's combo. Both me and Keith from Salt Creek have kind of agreed that going to this kind of choke constriction might be what we need here. But for our setup today, I brought out my old Mossberg 500. This one's got a 28-inch barrel on it, and we're going to be running the Carlson's Longbeard XR 660 constriction. Pretty much the thinking here is, number one, we know this is a good choke combo, and number two, maybe going to a 660 choke, having a little bit more constriction might be what we need to bring these shells in just a little bit more. So in theory, this should work and do what we want it to do. Sometimes blend shells can want a little more tighter of a choke, and TSS 10s are a small pellet that tend to like more choke constriction. This isn't overly tight, but it should give us a little bit of bump and tighten that pattern down a little bit, so we'll see what happens. Before today's test, we're running everything the same as usual. I've got the turkey target at 40 yards and the chrono to get our velocity. There's no boss claim velocity on there, but I believe it's 1,050 on their website, and that's typically what we've been seeing from them. But I've got decent hopes that this combo is going to work out, so let's get you guys a view of that target. We'll take our shot and see what we can actually get. Alright, I apologize for the glare, but this shell gave us 1,070 through the chrono. Again, website claim I believe is 1,050, and this is about what we've been seeing on average from these shells, is pretty close to that mid-1,000 feet per second mark. So nothing out of the normal here. That's plenty enough to 40 yards to do the job. But did we actually see any pattern improvement from that 660 or not? Let's go check it out and see. Okay, well, now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and we see some pretty interesting results here. Right off the bat, yes, we favored a little high and to the left. This has been a common trend with these particular shells. Every different gun and choke combo we have tried them through has impacted somewhere differently on the target. I don't think I've ever run across a shell that is as picky when you change guns and chokes as what this shell has been so far. That's not inherently a bad thing if this is the load you want to run. Just zero your red dot or know where your bead hits to this shell before you just take it out in the woods. But this one has been very obvious that it has been picky with changing different choke and gun combos as to where it actually impacts. Now, do we have a dead bird here still? Yes, we do. There is at least one TSS pellet through the brain, and I believe that other is a lead pellet, and we have several more down through the top of the spine there that would have done the job as well. So yes, it is 40-yard capable. Now moving to our core area, which I think is somewhere near the top left corner of that turkey target. It's definitely a much more broad pattern. That's kind of been the story with these shells as well, but we kind of have a thin stripe through the middle here. It's a little bit of a diagonal area, kind of from upper left corner, kind of down into the top right corner of that turkey target. There is a thinner area right there in the center of the screen. It's a little bit hotter at the bottom down here and a little bit hotter to the right. So going to that little tighter of a 660 choke did not actually bring the entire pattern in and condense it down quite like we were hoping it would. So far, still, the 665 pattern master we tried right off the bat seems to be the best combo. And after seeing this 660, we might need to go a little more open in constriction as well and see what happens. Maybe a 670, 675 could potentially do the trick. because it seems like condensing them down a little bit has started to open our core up and get a little sporadic. And we have a bunch of stuff down here along the bottom as well, and over there on the right, bunch of scattered sporadic stuff. It is a decently even mixture of TSS and lead. I tried to differentiate the size of the circles I drew with the pellet size, bigger circles being lead 5s, smaller circles being the TSS 10s. But still, this isn't exactly what I would call a perfect pattern. We have seen better from these shells, and we know they can do better. So now it's down to a case of, well, do we go quite a bit tighter in choke, 655 or tighter, or do we go the other way, 670, 675, and see what that does? My bet probably leans a little bit more towards the 670 range. Could potentially work out a little nicer for us here, because I think going to that tighter constriction actually blew the core of the pattern out a little bit more than what we had been seeing from these. So we've still got some work to do on these, and we have yet to really quite find that right combination. And here's the wad from that shell. These do appear to be the ballistic product low bore contact LBC wads, or at least something very similar to it anyway. We know these are really good wads, and we know Salt Creek can load a good shell, so it probably just comes down to the choke and these shells being very picky on what choke you run, but nothing stuck in there, no major damage. We did have one pedal open a little farther, but it didn't snag or anything like that. That could have contributed to why we favored way over to the left like that again, but overall the wad looks very much how I would expect it to here. All right, y'all. Well, what did you think about that performance right there? It's definitely nothing special. It would do the job out to 40 yards, but we have seen better from these shells before. And obviously, if you've been kind of following along with our previous testing with these shells, this isn't the best combo we got, and they've been rather finicky as well to really dial them into that nice, even condensed area of spread. They have never been terrible, but they haven't been anything over the top special either. And a lot of people are generally just not big fans of the lead TSS blend shells at $40-ish for price point on average, not just for Salt Creek, but for other people's blend shells that are similar as well to these. A lot of people would much rather just run a lead shell or a TSS shell, especially when it comes to 12 gauge. Just run a lead Longbeard XR load and you're going to be hammering turkeys all day long. So this shell still isn't going to be for everybody. It's an intriguing load for sure. It's got potential. It's fun to test and interesting to see the results, but we still have not found and dialed in that perfect combination for them. I think there is a combo out there that will outshoot anything we've seen from them previously. We just got to find what it is. But leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these Salt Creek blend loads? And if so, what kind of results have you seen? Is that a pattern or combo you would hunt with? Or would you just prefer lead or TSS in a 12 gauge? Or want to see that pattern a little tighter? Or at least not kind of have that little bit of a thin area through the core like that? Or is that about what you're looking for and you're perfectly fine with that kind of pattern? And what other combos do you want to see us run those shells through that you think might be a good performer? A little more choke, a little less choke? Let me know what you guys want to see down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.